Hello and welcome to StroongeCast episode 80.
What did you say to me?
That is a very good question, and boy, this episode is probably going to make you spitting mad. So, hold your horses and hold on to your drinks. And hats, probably as well. But before we get to that, tell me about your week.
I don't think there's much to tell.
No?
I don't think... like, the only thing out of the ordinary that I've done this week is go and take Jake for an interview for a sixth form yesterday.
Yeah.
Which was fine. And that's about it.
And it was kind of his old school stomping grounds, wasn't it? So he saw a few friendly faces, or old faces.
Well, not quite. It was, it's the secondary school that all the primary school kids that he went to school with went to.
Yeah.
So we've never actually been to that school, but we did see a few people that he knew, which was quite fun because they haven't seen him and he hasn't seen them since he left primary school, when he looked very different.
Oh, yes.
So they did not know who he was, which is quite funny. But yeah, otherwise, I don't think anything's really been happening. What about you? You've had a quieter than you thought week?
Well, I was supposed to be at the piano shop yesterday, yes. But the lady I was supposed to go with became ill suddenly. That wasn't very fun. But I did have a singer friend over the day before. We finally hooked up.
Yeah, you did.
After 3 failed sessions.
Yeah.
But it worked out very well. Posted a little thing on the old Instagram. It's very nice. Actually, I should put it on YouTube as well. I ought to do that. And Apple made me livid this week.
Oh, yes. Tell everybody.
So, and this is not just an Apple thing. Before you decide that that is the way to be now, it'll hit Android eventually. No one is exempt. But the thing is, age verification has hit your phone, right? Your digital devices. So in this country, it is probably going to be mandated that you have to verify your age on a device that you owned and spent money on, right? So, but the problem is that they have specific requirements for that. And the requirements in this country are very America-centric, and that's a problem. I mean, Apple is a US-based company, so they just think everybody's like them. They're not. The requirements are that you cannot use a debit card, only credit card, and you cannot use a passport, only a driving license, or some kind of ID, which I know in the US you have state IDs. We don't do that. So I tried to authenticate many different ways with different forms of identification, none of which work, which means that I can't listen to explicit content on my device, mine, that I paid for, and I cannot watch or see some, I don't even know, probably certain types of programs on Netflix or ITV, maybe 18 plus kind of programs, until they solve this and resolve this.
But is it definitely affecting things like Netflix and stuff? Because I don't know, I've not had anything, but then I don't really look at explicit stuff, I suppose. But
anything horror though, anything that comes up like that would be marked as 18. But you also haven't updated your phone yet.
Oh.
Your phone hasn't updated.
Okay, well, I better do that. Or not.
I wouldn't.
Maybe.
Especially at the moment.
I mean, maybe because I don't watch 18 things, but I guess if it pops up on other things.
I don't tend to either, but the thing is, I can't now.
No, and that's the point, is there shouldn't be restrictions on your phone.
And because it's government mandate, Apple had to follow it, and that means that people on the other side of the fence, on the Google side of the fence, will be hit with it too. So you're not exempt. This is not a ha-ha moment. This is a terrible thing, and it is going to hurt everybody.
I just don't understand why passports are not included in that.
I don't know.
When everybody... Well, but then you could say, well, what if somebody doesn't have a passport and doesn't have a credit card? I mean, that's the other option.
It's still a problem.
Yeah.
I have debit cards, but not credit cards. Don't want one.
No, exactly.
But apparently because you can have a debit card pre-age 18, it's not accepted. But also, I'm a guardian, right? I'm a guardian on the family account. I'm listed as a parent. I didn't have a parent aged 5, a child aged 5, right?
Yeah.
You have to be an adult to have a child. So, well, at least really. But also, there are many factors, right? They could see that our children are of a certain age, which means the parents have to be over a certain age too.
Yeah, but I think things like that, it's just too complicated for the systems then. They don't want to put in that kind of effort into it.
Clearly not. certain people that have Apple accounts older than 2009, I think, were allowed to authenticate using that. Mine was made 2010, as was yours. So that means it's not 18 plus years old, the account.
Right.
And so apparently those people got through on a yes/no, but not us. Purely mad.
Jeez.
So we have to wait. I called Apple support yesterday. I spoke to a very nice lady and I said, look, this isn't your fault. What do I do? She said, nothing.
Oh.
Yeah, they have to just escalate it to engineers because there's nothing.
And then just wait for them to sort something out.
Correct.
Good Lord.
I did also speak to iCave Dave yesterday. I sent him my angry post on Mastodon, which has blown up, by the way. At the time of recording,
those people who like me, who don't know who that is.
Yeah, I will explain. iCave Dave is a YouTuber that Jake and I went to meet once in Battersea Power Station when they opened their Apple store there, because I have him on WhatsApp and I was like, look at this. He's a UK YouTuber, so I says, and he reports on Apple stuff. I said, are you going to report on this? And he's like, you know what? Yes, I will. And I think he may reference my post. And it has blown up on Mastodon. I mean, it's had at the time of recording like 180 reposts and climbing. So even as we record this, the number's rising.
Yeah.
So it's hit a lot of people, thousands of people in the UK who are like us. You don't have a credit card either.
No.
You don't drive.
No.
And you do have a passport.
Yes.
Screwed. So yeah, livid. Livid. But apart from that, I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
Now you've got that off your chest.
But we do have Alice's chocolate muffins to enjoy.
They are delicious.
That will cheer me up.
Muffins.
Oh, and speaking of Alice, she bought me lunch on Sunday, which I did not expect.
She did.
That was really, really nice.
She had it delivered, though, because she was out with her friend.
Yeah.
She didn't even bring it home or anything. She actually had it sent for you.
Yeah.
Which was super
It was really, really amazing.
Yeah.
So I had 2 lunches because I didn't know it was coming. You made me another lunch.
Yeah.
I was a big boy that day.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm going back to the piano shop now. Hopefully LJ will be not ill soon and we can go and do the thing we're supposed to do. I packed a bag and everything. So
we're all ready to go.
I know. And just hours before, she said, I'm ill. I'm actually under antibiotics and all sorts. So no go anywhere.
No.
However, the post-outro, if you will, is another recording from last week where we're playing Tetris. So listen for that.
Nice.
What's the quiz? Well, what was the quiz, I should say?
So last week's quiz question: which ancient culture is credited with developing the first toothpaste using crushed ox hooves?
Is it the Mayans, perhaps?
Ancient Egypt.
Ancient Egypt, okay.
So
they did a lot of fun things.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This week's question:
yes.
Which animal's fingerprints are virtually indistinguishable from humans?
Ah, okay. I have an idea about that. Right.
I think lots of people will think it's one thing.
Yeah, I probably do think
you
it's
probably
that one
think
thing.
it's that one thing. It's not.
Oh, okay. Well, now I know.
Now you know.
Then I don't know. Oh, dear. So what are we talking about? Why are we talking about it? And what's going on?
Well, it was your idea, so you should explain because it came from your post that you put out.
Yeah.
So you start off because then I've got to do lots of reading.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So I had put out a question on Mastodon and Facebook about what are the most ridiculous, rude, silly, unhinged questions you've been asked about your disability or had said to you as if they're statements of fact. And we got some doozies back, didn't we? Absolute doozies.
We did. And thank you to everybody that did post
Respond,
yours. Yeah, that responded because...
it was more than I expected, I'll be honest.
Yeah. And some of them just blow your mind.
Definitely. Also, I know that not everybody who would have wanted to respond is on Mastodon or Facebook. So if you want to, do leave more of them in the YouTube comments. We'd love to hear some of the rude and crazy things people have said to you.
Yeah,
because
we can just
this
share them
isn't
next
over,
week as well.
Right? There'll be lots more.
Mm.
So, yeah, take it away, my dear.
All right. So, to begin with, we have Paul.
On Facebook.
On Facebook. Yes, we'll start with Facebook. We have Paul, who's our lovely piano tuner.
Yes.
He said, this might be too specific. I was in the city centre, Birmingham, some years ago. I knew there was a Christian conference going on, but had forgotten as it wasn't a speaker I was interested in. Some guy came up to me while I was minding my own by the conference centre, which has nice pubs and bars around it. He told me about this conference, that he thought I should go, and when I told him I was a Christian and coincidentally had something else going on in the church related, he said I should cancel that and go to this healing conference. And possibly way more disturbing for Christians at least, told me that I wasn't healed because I didn't have enough faith, and that if I didn't have enough faith to claim my healing, then I also wasn't saved, as you'd need faith to believe that witchy would bring healing by default. I made my excuses and walked in completely the wrong direction and got myself lost for well over an hour. Was worth it to get away from this clown.
That is...
So he's basically saying your faith is not strong enough to heal you.
From being blind.
Yeah, that's why you're blind, because your faith isn't strong enough.
That's just one level of ignorance. Just one.
Yeah.
It only gets worse from here.
So we got another one from Paul. He said, I walked past an old couple once who said hello and sounded lovely. Once I passed, I heard them say, oh, they shouldn't be allowed out.
Yes. Because blind people don't have lives and don't need to be out the house. Right? Mm-hmm. Just get back in the kitchen or something. I don't know. Is that our whole life, yeah?
Yeah, just stay in the house. Shouldn't be out on your own, you know? We have Bradley next. He said, when I was younger, my mum got asked the question of how do you cope with an invalid? People have asked me directly whether I've taken any paracetamol or ibuprofen to cure my blindness. My friend Marshall, who you also know, has your medical condition improved before? I've also had, how do you listen and create music when you're blind?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because
your ears don't work.
There aren't blind musicians at all, right?
No. We then have Matthew. Was once told by a man on the bus that if I would go into Boots, the optician, specifically Boots for some reason, I would be able to see again. Another friend of mine was once told if they would rub onions on their eyes, it would cure their blindness.
Not to mind the pain or anything.
Can you imagine? Onions.
Ugh. And also, why not Specsavers or something? Why Boots?
No, only Boots.
Wow. I wish I'd known that. Been past Boots loads as a kid.
Paul again.
Hello, Paul.
Thank you, Paul, for your multiple.
Multi-Paul.
When I was first going to a church I used to attend, people were absolutely obsessed with me being healed. I got so fed up of it when this guy was pretty much jabbing his fingers into my eyes to the point where even the little I could see was no longer a sensory feature. He then removed his hands and his fingers and asked if I could see anything. I said yes. He didn't get anywhere nearly as excited as I'd have expected for a bloke who had just healed someone in the Lord's name. He then said, that's amazing. Then I said, I can see because you've just removed your hands from my eyes. Pleased to say the obsession with me stopped after that.
Oh my gosh, what is wrong with people?
Why would you just... That's a thing. And we do have a few more from people who talk about this sort of physical contact. Why do you think it's okay to just go up and touch somebody? Whether they have a disability or not, it's not okay to just go up and put your fingers into someone's eyes.
Personal space is a thing, you know?
Yes.
People don't seem to realize that. Personal space is a thing.
Don't touch other people without their consent. My goodness.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also, it's one thing, if someone comes towards me to touch my eyes, I can see and I can say, no, I can move out of the way, I can stop them, whatever. You can't see if someone just launches at you.
Yeah, this is not a case of see it, say it, sort it.
Yeah, no.
Don't.
Also, lots around religion.
It seems to be a thing.
Yeah, I think, that's your belief and that's okay, but you can't put that on other people. Yeah. Louise, she has 2 encounters.
Oh, yeah.
Was waiting to cross the road. Oh, this one made me laugh. Was waiting to cross the road once, and two chaps came up to me and asked if I needed a hand across the pedestrian light as the pedestrian lights weren't working. When I replied with a polite yes, one of the kind gents proceeded to literally pick up my guide dog. Yes, 31 kilos of lab cross. That's a big dog. And walk across the road with me hanging onto the handle behind it, being pulled along like a wheelbarrow. When the well-meaning donut reached the far side, he placed the very bemused dog back on the terra firma, and I said an equally bemused thanks. The second bloke, clearly seeing something was slightly amiss, pipes up, Tom, I don't think that what we did was quite right. And with that, the pair of them literally took to their heels and scarpered.
Why on
Pick
earth?
up the dog. It's so weird. Like, I feel like that's weirder than picking her up. I mean, that would have been weird as well. But I feel like picking the dog up is so much stranger than...
Do you? Do you want some random man to
No. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, out of the two of them,
Yeah.
I feel like picking the dog up is the weirdest. Because the dog... It's not the dog that has
The sight issue.
needs help getting across the road. It's the guy. Unless they misunderstood. Did they think that there was something wrong with the dog? I don't know. It's so weird.
But this is the kind of thing where people ask for directions and they've got guide dogs and they tell the dog the directions. This has happened. I've heard about this.
I wish that was, a thing that we could just say to the dog. Let's head down the road, turn left, third on the right, or whatever. That would be amazing. But
imagine that.
Honestly. The second one from Louise. I'm sitting in a cafe having a sandwich when two women, mother and daughter, come in and sat behind me, whereupon the mother starts commenting, "Isn't she amazing? She's such a clever girl." The woman followed me as I paid for my sandwich and left. The mother tapped me on the shoulder and said, "I'm sorry to disturb you, but may I ask you something? How do you know where your mouth is when you're eating?" I could literally think of no other response than exactly the same way you do. I thought that was the end of it, and so did the daughter, but Mum clearly wasn't finished. "Do you always eat sandwiches and finger food then? I assume you don't eat soup or other such foods you need cutlery for." Daughter at this point was becoming quite exasperated. I was clearly becoming quite annoyed. I replied with a "certainly not" and walked off, sparking a massive street slagging match between Mum and daughter.
I can't. No, nothing.
That is a question, again, that a lot of people do ask. And you've been asked that multiple times, haven't you?
I've been asked all sorts of things multiple times. I lose track, but yes.
But you have. And that's one of the things I find difficult when we go out to eat, is because people, when they realise that you are blind, they will watch you eat. And I get that there is that slight fascination of, oh, that's somebody different.
But is it
that's
really magical?
Interesting, but it's just...
I'm just eating.
I just find it really difficult because I just want to... I don't know. I find it embarrassing for them because I think, what is wrong with you? Like, it's all right to have a quick glance at somebody out of interest. Like, I think that's human nature to be a bit nosy, I guess. But when people outwardly stare at you, like I always talk about that time on the first cruise that we did.
Yeah, I remember.
When we had to sit on that big, massive communal table with 4 other couples, not even like male-female couples. There was a mother and daughter and other people. And several of them just stared at you. And it was so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I do remember that. I think the tables were differently arranged this time, weren't they?
Yeah, they did have big tables. But I think it was only big groups that were put on there. Or maybe if you were just 2, I don't know. The only big tables that I saw were ones like big families.
Okay.
Family groups. I think because there was 4 of us, it was fine. Yeah, it was different.
Really strange. Yeah, I don't know what it is about watching people eat.
Yeah.
It's not magic, you just put food in your face.
Yeah. And
I'm very
sometimes
good at that, by the way.
But that's it. Sometimes things fall off. Sometimes it gets messy, just like anybody else.
I'm probably not even the most messy eater you know.
And not at all. Not at all. You know, yeah. Anyway, Tara, next.
Hey.
When I was riding on a Greyhound bus one time when I was a teenager, I once got asked, how do I go to the bathroom by myself? When I told the family that I was visiting at the time about that one of their friends said, you should have told him that you have the feel for that kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Needless to say, it got a laugh about how stupid it was.
This happens a lot, actually.
It's like people just think they can ask anything. You would not ask a person off the street or, an able-bodied person, how do you go to the toilet? Like, you don't ask personal questions. It's none of your business.
Well, I've been asked the question, like, how do you see to wipe it?
Yeah, you have had that question.
I look over my shoulder. I'm good. I've got a prehensile neck. I can turn it around like an owl.
The next one is actually from my auntie Kat.
Yeah.
She's not blind.
One of the few.
That commented.
How dare she not be blind? What is this?
But she said, my father said, can't you just get over it? She has bipolar.
Yeah, just, switch it off and on.
Get over an actual disorder of the brain.
Doesn't everybody just do that?
Yeah. But that's similar with like depression, anxiety. People just say, oh, but, just don't feel anxious. Oh, okay.
Just stop yourself.
Thanks for telling me that.
Yeah, it's as easy as that. It's just
it is as easy as that. Just don't be sad. Oh, okay.
Turn it off and on again.
Yeah. Next we have Macy.
Yes.
I work as a collections representative for a bank that finances a lot of credit card industry in the States. I had a lady who called in stating that she had made a payment on her credit card. I explained to her it wasn't on her account and that she had other accounts tied to her phone number and that I would check to see if the payment was on any of those accounts. That way I could get it transferred over to the correct one. I told her that I'm blind and it would just take me a few moments and to bear with me. She said, "You're not blind, otherwise you wouldn't be working, darling." At this point, I was so shocked and surprised that a customer would say something so ridiculous. I ended up putting her on hold, transferring to a supervisor who's a good friend, and he advised me to file an abusive, discriminatory or threatening language, in brackets ADTL, form, then getting the customer back on the line. She apologised, but the damage was done. I explained to her that people, regardless of disabilities, make a living just like everyone else. To be fair, I don't tell mean customers about my disability. It won't change anything. The nice ones, or at least some of them, I will tell. If I have any other stories, I will comment.
Yeah. And this seems to happen a lot across different places. I don't have a story quite like that, but I remember that I was at some kind of camp once and they had a phone box and I called the operator up. I dialed 100. This is before you could get the phone number, right?
Yeah.
And before mobile phones. So it was in the 90s. And I said, can you tell me the number of this phone box? And she said, will it be written on the sign? I said, actually, madam, I'm blind, so I can't see it. And then she accused me and said, how dare you lie to me, and hung up.
Oh my gosh.
She accused me of lying about my disability.
Because how could you be making a phone call if you're blind?
That was obviously her thinking, yes.
Yeah.
I called back and got someone else who did the job.
That's awful.
I hadn't remembered that until Macy's comment, though.
Insane.
What a reminder.
The next is from, is it Mika or Mecca?
I'm guessing Mika, but I don't know.
I
Please do tell
apologise
us
if
you
that's
listen.
wrong. Yeah, please correct if that's wrong. As a teenager, I spent a lot of time in churches that believed in the word of faith doctrine. Basically, it was the ideology of if you have more faith, then you will be healed. Once, as such a revival, a random person walked up to me and asked if they could spit in my eyes the way that Jesus spit in the eyes of the blind man. I absolutely recoiled and was like, no way.
Get away from me with your mouth.
Spitting, people, spitting. We don't do that. But in someone's eyes, that's how we spread diseases.
You think?
Also, it's like then that person is saying, well, I'm as good as Jesus.
Sure.
I mean,
That's
the
not
arrogance.
blasphemous at all, right?
The arrogance. I have the power that Jesus had and I can cure you in the same way. No.
So now in my head is, I've got the power. Bring it on.
Nice. Next we have Tremaine.
Yes.
A person once asked me how I have sex.
Of course.
And my reply was, better than you.
Yep. I remember
Good
Tremaine
reply.
being exactly like that. Haven't spoken to Tremaine in 10, 15, maybe 20. Nah, got to be 20 years. Yep. That's about what I remember.
Again with the personal questions though, guys. It's just not okay.
The thing is, right, people with disabilities don't require the personal touch. We're just zoo exhibits for the taking, right? So it's just seen as okay to ask these kind of things because we just don't matter. We're not human.
On a really weird side note, do you think then that because AI and things like that,
Oh, God.
no, that maybe people should be encouraged to, if they have questions like that are of a more sensitive nature, to ask Google or AI, how do blind people do this?
Google first.
To educate themselves. Well, I only say because when you Google, you get that AI thing that comes up at the top part.
Yeah, but before that, we had real search results. Of
True.
course, they could be skewed by people like me who just want to make a mockery of your silly question. And the thing is, sometimes AI results do this. We saw this with put non-toxic glue on pizza to keep the cheese on, right? But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you should probably research before you make yourself look like a bit of an arse.
Well, that's just what I was thinking. Like, you know, back in the day, it would have been harder. And I guess people, not to be on the side of the people asking the questions or saying these things, because it's completely wrong, but just to play devil's advocate a little bit, people are curious and they don't know, they don't have experience with people with disabilities. They have questions. It doesn't mean that it's appropriate to ask those questions.
Right.
But maybe online, now that there is so much available, why don't we Google those questions instead of asking the people directly, particularly when they're people that you don't know?
Well, this is it, right? People's mouth filters are not always engaged, right? They don't often take a step back from the glaringly obvious to think, what if I were asked that question?
Yeah.
How upset, offended, insulted would I be if someone said that to me, that I'm about to say to this random person I've never spoken to in my life?
Yeah.
Just have a think, have a care.
So the last one on Facebook, we have Tara again. She said, this also ties into the podcast last week. When I went to the ophthalmologist that was required for me to go to prove that I was blind, he asked my husband if our son was mine, as in, did I give birth to him?
Oh my God. What? Why?
I was just trying to think if I've ever been asked anything random or bad about. I don't think I have.
The only thing that I can think was not even asked was just that when I was with you, one of the very first few times we were out.
The piano shop.
There was
the
two
music
then.
shop.
There was the piano shop when they talked to you.
Yeah.
Because obviously you're the
and
musician.
I was like,
not me.
I don't know. I have no idea what he's talking about.
And the lady in Chiswick that just completely blanked me. I mean, she had nothing to say to me, but I could tell that she blanked me. And it's hard, right? Because it's a feeling more than anything.
Yeah.
We didn't have anything to say to each other, but she didn't even acknowledge my existence. So we were out, to explain this, we were just out walking I think, one day.
No, I was dog sitting.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that's why we were there.
I was dog sitting, looking after the dog in this house in Chiswick. And I think it was because she knew that the owners, and suddenly there was a young woman and guy, and she obviously didn't know that they were away, and maybe she thought we were suspicious. I think that's what it was. And so she was kind of questioning me.
Yeah.
And it just was, strange, I think. But you did get really bad vibes.
I did. And I said so at the time as well. And I don't usually. People usually just, they do their thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's weird.
So we're done with Facebook. Let's move on to Mastodon.
Yes. And if you are on the Fediverse, come follow us. You can find the link to follow us on all of the StroongeCast episodes at the bottom. And we'd love to have more followers over there. Yes. Come say hi.
Also, for anybody that doesn't know what Mastodon is, because I feel like there might be some people.
It's a better Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, it's like an alternative. In case you're wondering, because you mention it a lot, but I'm not sure that it's, everybody knows what it is.
No, it just had its 10th birthday recently as well, so it's still quite new. But yeah.
Okay, so Brian, some lady on the bus told me that if I let her spit in my eyes, they would work again. I didn't take her up on it, obviously. So again with the spitting.
Yeah, this is not what we do. Okay, this is abnormal behavior. Don't do that.
No. Monique. So I'm blind, and one day I was just walking along the street in a small town here in the Netherlands, preparing to turn the corner. The guy says, "You need to go that way," pointing me in the opposite direction from where I needed to go. So I asked, "Where do you think I'm headed?" The answer, "To that place where all the blind people live." When I pointed out where I was actually going, he had to agree that I was in fact going in the right direction.
Oh, can you stop?
What was the place where all the blind people live?
Depends. I mean, in the Netherlands, it could have been a school. Like in Worcester, this happens to people as well.
Yeah. So they just all think you're going to the school.
Right.
Yeah.
And for example, when I lived in Worcester, where I went to boarding school, that was mostly the case. But it's not always the case. You might be going somewhere completely different.
Yeah.
But there is an assumption,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If you're worried that somebody is going the wrong way, just ask them, "Do you need any help? Do you need any assistance?" Instead of just stepping in and saying,
you're
going the wrong way.
wrong.
How do you know they're going the wrong way?
Yeah, you didn't ask. You assumed.
Exactly.
Don't assume.
Just ask. Do you need any help?
Use your words.
Yeah. Next, we have Mariah.
Yes.
My own father told me that accessibility was an excuse when I said something about how if I ever went to school again and took classes online, I'd make sure the platform would be accessible.
Because the thing is, oftentimes these platforms don't work well. So what you want to do ahead of time is to
make sure before you invest in it.
Yeah, you want to get a demo of the software if possible. For example, there are websites where you can view routers, right? Home routers, the stuff that runs your internet traffic.
Yeah.
And some of them have demos, so you can see the interface before you buy. And I think a lot of devices and a lot of things should do that. They should offer like a web demo. It would help you decide if this is for you or not.
Next, we have Sarah. She says, my friend and I got stopped at a gas station on a short road trip to his place, and a lady asked to pray for me. Tame, right? But once back in the car, he explained that lots of folks around that area tend to believe that people are only blind because they believe it. Like there ain't anything wrong physically, that it is all in our heads kind of thing. And if we just have enough faith, we won't be blind anymore. Definitely one of the craziest things I've heard.
Yeah, because you can't be blind any other way. Your parents have sinned, you've sinned, therefore you're blind. No other reason. It's all in mind over matter, isn't it? Or would it be blind over matter? Anyway,
blind over matter. But then I wonder what they would say to people who are born without eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really say that's mind over matter.
Sorry, they fell out in the womb.
Yeah. Next is Kerry. For me, one of the top is, wait, you mean you shower on your own? Also, one time at church as a little girl, after the whole church prayed over me, honey, can you see now?
Wishful thinking, again. There seems to be a lot of that, isn't there?
Yeah. It's a lot of religion thinking that they can cure through prayer. Next is Ricky.
Ah, yes.
When I was a teenager, my friends and I were on the way to a concert when we had a flat tire. The people who stopped to help us believed that because of my blindness, I was closer to the spiritual realm and embodied something angelic/holy. They all wanted to touch my hair for some reason. Very strange, but much better than the guy who shouted obscenities about how I was cursed by the sins of my parents every time I walked past his house.
You have no life.
Mm-hmm.
Just shut your curtains or blinds,
Exactly.
maybe, and just be quiet.
Honestly.
Do
And
the
again
world
with
a
the
favor.
touching people. We also have another one from Mariah. I don't know how related this is, but a lot of sighted people tend to get offended when I tell them that no, I wouldn't take any solution that would allow me to see. I couldn't, even if I wanted to, because my optic nerve never developed. And even if I had the option, I've lived this way for 30 years. The idea of sight actually freaks me out because of how overwhelming it would be. And I do mention that, but it doesn't seem to matter. I mention how I wouldn't necessarily want to see the ugly in the world because I see enough. And that point doesn't matter either. I don't know why people get offended, but there you go. You said exactly the same thing.
Yeah, and I told her as such. I 100% agree with all that.
Yeah.
I have never seen, and I don't need to.
I think it's because people who are sighted would feel like, well, they can't imagine not having their sight, having had it and then to lose it. They can't imagine it. So, no, I know, but I think it clouds their judgment. So then they think, well, it would be so awful for me to lose my sight. Why would you not want to gain it? Why would you not want to have that? They're not thinking about the practicality of the fact that you're going to have to learn everything again.
Yes.
Because you've learned to do everything one way. You know, your balance would be wrong. You'd find it difficult to
Even
walk
focusing on
easily.
things,
Yeah, like because you've never had any sight at all, you wouldn't have anything. That depth perception is just not there for you.
How would you feel about it? I'd see you, but I don't need to see you to know you.
Well, I've always said to you that my fear would be that you would look at me and you wouldn't find me attractive. That's always been my fear. Like if you did have sight now, and then you were like, oh, well, I'm not attracted to you anymore.
Jeez.
But
You're safe.
after this length of time,
Yeah.
I hope that it's all good. But yeah, I don't think I would want it for you because I agree. It would be so overwhelming.
Yep.
And, you know.
Much too much stimuli.
Yeah. But even at like the basic of colours, you'd have to learn the colours and.
Would have to learn everything.
Like everything.
Because reading and writing, judging distances, not to flinch at things that go out the corner of your eye that you take for granted.
Because that's it. Because sometimes you'll say to me, what can you actually see when you look straight ahead? Or like you'll be sitting next to me and you'll do something and I'll say, I see that, or whatever it is. And you'll be like, how? It was peripheral vision. It's all that kind of stuff that you'll just.
It fascinates me, but it doesn't mean I need it for myself.
No, absolutely not.
And I kind of like to test, where are your boundaries?
Yes.
Because it's interesting.
Yeah, what can you see? What can't you see? Or, it would just be a lot. I also think you would be plagued with headaches.
You're my first and last sighted partner, you see. So I always got curious about these things.
Yeah.
So I like, for example, sometimes I'll walk in the room, I'll turn in your direction, just smile at you.
And see whether I'm watching you.
Yeah.
Whether I notice.
Mostly you do.
Mostly I do.
But I can still sneak up on you, even if you've got eyes.
Do you know, I don't know if it was yesterday, I think it was the day before, all three of you and the kids, all scared me at separate times without meaning to. Alice was just hanging out in the kitchen and I walked downstairs into the kitchen. I didn't know she was there and I was like, oh, Made me jump. Jake came up behind me when I was putting stuff in the dishwasher. Didn't know he was there. Made me jump. You walked into the door when I was behind it. Made me jump. Every time.
Well,
very, very jumpy. Apparently.
Mums are supposed to have eyes in the back of their head. So
I know,
it's
and
your
sometimes
fault.
I do, but
It's your fault for not looking behind you.
No. Next we have the Witchy Bitches.
Yeah, she's great.
That's an amazing name. I love that.
Yes.
I was in the hospital once with pneumonia, and the lady from billing came and took my hands physically from my interpreter's hands, put them on her face, and said, "She doesn't need the interpreter. I know deaf-blind people can read lips by touch. I saw Helen Keller do it." Because sorry, my phone just glitched then. Because apparently there is a YouTube video of Helen doing this with Anne Sullivan, only she actually chose to do it.
Yeah, you weren't forced
Anyway, the woman wouldn't let my hands go, and she held them there on her face, and I had to tell her to please leave the room, and I spoke to the charge nurse and told her never to let that person in again. That again.
Touch.
Stop touching people without asking.
I don't know what it comes back to. I don't know why people think that's an okay thing. Because, again, if someone did that to you, you'd hate it. And I don't mean you, I mean
I would have a meltdown because
yes.
I don't like people touching me that I don't know.
Conniption.
Yeah,
I like that word.
I don't like it. Next, we have another Andre.
Yes.
Why are you lying you're blind? Context, before puberty, when my eyes were actually healthy and looked as those of a sighted person, except for
nystagmus. Yeah, that's a hard word. It's nystagmus. It's basically what my eyes do as well.
Okay.
And they move on their own, you know?
Yeah. And the fact that I couldn't control them. So basically rolled them.
Yeah.
Or looked at random places. And quite often I received comments, "Why do you pretend being blind? Why do you roll your eyes at me?"
Yeah, I've had that
Yeah,
too.
you've had that multiple times.
Oh, yes.
And I've said that to you before, because when we go out, you don't always put your cane out. So when we're walking, I think a lot of people don't realize that you are blind.
No.
So sometimes that, you'll get
happen
looks.
that way.
Because I think sometimes people are like double looking at you to see, because they can see that your eyes aren't
bothered
moving in the regular way.
Yeah.
But they can't see your cane. So it's not always obvious.
I must have mentioned on the podcast the issue I had on the train once years ago.
Oh, with a guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Mention it again, though, in case.
Macho man on the train was sat, I think, opposite me and diagonally to the side, right? And I must have just been facing forward, not really paying attention. And I think he thought I was looking at his girl, right? Because I don't have one of my own, clearly. Not that you were with me, but, I was married. I had a wedding ring on. But anyway, he got all up in my face, like, "What are you looking at my girl for?" I said, "I am blind." Right? Just like that. I was already angry because you didn't ask anything. You jumped up in my face. And had we been anywhere else, I might have knocked you out. But we're on a train, and I'm very polite. Usually. I know people are listening to this rolling their eyes, both figuratively and literally, because I'm not. Right? But his girlfriend just yanked him down into his seat. Just shut up. Just stop talking. But he wasn't having it, and he was very angry. Very angry little man.
Yeah.
Small energy. There's always one.
Of course. Absolutely. Next, we have Sukil.
Yes.
So one which breaks the general mood and one which doesn't. I'll let you guess. First one, you're going the wrong way. Where do you want to go? And the second one, are you looking for treasures? I might be mistranslating this. Hope you get the idea. We weren't 100% sure on that.
No. But I think that "are you going the wrong way" was trying to be helpful. Depends. And the other one, not sure.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand.
I mean, maybe you're going the wrong way. Where do you want to go? Well, you don't know where I'm going, so how do you know I'm going the wrong way?
Yeah, a bit like the
Just
lady
assuming.
in the Netherlands, right?
Yeah, just assuming that you're going the wrong way because you can't see.
Yes.
The treasures, I'm not sure what that one was.
Hey, we could always all be looking for treasure, right?
Yeah.
Spare money on the ground?
Robin
Yes.
said, no one's going to want to marry someone whose eyes move around like fish in an aquarium.
Well, you're still here, so clearly
Yeah,
you
I
don't
mean,
mind.
I think that's coming from the other person's insecurities because, like, I've never thought of your eyes as fish in an aquarium. That's
What did you
awful.
think? I mean, it's a long time ago now, but what did you think when you first met me? Because you knew I was blind. We talked about it, but you would have looked at my eyes and looked
I don't
into
remember.
my eyes.
You always ask me things about what did I think of
I
X,
know,
Y, and Z. And I'm
because-
like, I don't think I thought anything. Like, I don't remember. No, but I just mean like, I don't think it was ever a thing. I don't think I ever, I mean, I must have noticed and thought, oh, that's what they do. But I don't remember ever really having like multiple questions to ask you or
Yeah.
I don't know. It just
kind of got curious actually, because I was thinking that's one of the things that really attracted me to you was that you just didn't show that you cared about
yes, I
that.
didn't. It's not.
And when I say that, people listening, I mean that she didn't care about blindness, right? It was just a thing.
Well, it was just you.
It was just there.
Yeah.
A lot of people made a big deal about it. You never did. And I was like, you have to be the one.
Yeah. I don't know. It just wasn't
And I told
a
my
thing.
mum the same thing. I told her, like, she just doesn't care. And she's like, as she shouldn't. My mum was very forthright.
Yeah. But I guess when you've had experiences like you have, then you're expecting that everybody's going to be like that.
And it taints your expectation of people and relationships and things and places because of it. And all these people that have commented today, and thank you so much, right? It upsets me that you've had to go through that. I've been through similar, as you know, but why do we have to put up with these things?
We have quite a few more. Honestly, the things that these people say, as in like the awful people, not the great people that have commented. We have Robert. He said, I had a few guys ask me, so does Braille feel like nipples to you?
Oh, gosh. That's jumbo Braille, really.
Oh my gosh. I also had another instance where I was at an event with a black friend of mine, and this sighted woman decided to go out of her way to pull me aside and ask the question, did I know that my friend was black? That's twofold, because A, why does she feel she needs to ask them if they know?
Oh, yeah.
Two, is she saying, that like wanting that person to know that they're black because that's a bad thing?
Well, apparently.
Like, why? I'd be interested, Robert, to know what you said. Like, why does it matter?
Oh.
What's, I don't know.
If you haven't seen it, right, there's a Dave Chappelle skit where he pretends to be blind in this skit.
Yeah.
And he joins the KKK, right? But he's black, right? Yeah. If you haven't seen this, you have to find it. I think I have seen this.
I feel like you've shown this to me.
And then he learns he is black later on, and he is mad. It's genuinely very, very funny. I was not offended. I thought it was very funny indeed.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle doesn't pull punches.
The next, and again, I apologize if I say your name wrong, is Kevinthren.
Oh, yeah. I still don't know how to say that.
Yeah. I'm hoping that I said it okay. One question that someone asked me is, how do you eat your food? How do you shower? Things like that.
What is the shower thing? You stand under a thing. It just rains on your head.
Yeah, I don't get that. Like most people, for at least a portion of when I'm in the shower, my eyes are closed anyway because the water's on my face.
Right. More importantly, how do you put toothpaste on a toothbrush? I get that question. I understand that. But showering, you stand under a rain pouring device.
No, people, I find with the things like that, it's just common sense. It's not even, oh, well, I've never seen it before. I don't know. It's common sense. Close your eyes. Close your eyes and figure out, how would I do this?
That's too hard.
Like, the toothbrush, that to me, those sorts of little questions, I just think it's common sense. You know? Maybe it's a bit trickier. Maybe sometimes you might drop the toothpaste just like everybody does, but it's common sense, guys.
Clearly isn't, is it? People are so weird.
We then have Jessica.
Yes.
Years ago, when I was in high school, a friend said in an offhanded way, I can't exactly see Helen Keller clicking around on the web. Boy, if only she knew.
Oh, right. Yes. Because, again, blind people and computers, not a thing.
Yeah.
Who does the editing for this podcast? Do you remind me?
Who does all of the computer stuff in the whole house? Actually, partly Jake.
That's hard now.
But, yeah, I mean, seriously. The next one is Munchkin Bear.
Yeah.
That's really cute. I always call Alice on another tangent because that's just what we do. I've always called Alice like when she was a baby, but sometimes I do now, like Munchkin.
Yes.
She has always heard it as Munch Chicken. So she's always thought that I've been calling her Munch Chicken, not Munchkin.
Oh my gosh, Alice.
I know. She's a funny little thing.
Nice.
Question, again, with this question, how do you have sex? And their answer is, how do you have sex? How do you fornicate with the lights on? No, neither do I.
Oh.
So, yeah.
You want to try? No, I don't want to try.
Just personal questions. I think the next person is Yvonne. Again,
okay.
Really sorry if I've not said that right.
We had many names.
We had many names. You're all amazing. I was walking to work one day and someone stopped me to ask if I knew it was raining.
I didn't even see that one.
Yeah. And my mother was once asked, can she play? People are weird.
Can she play? Just play.
Yeah.
Can you feel when it's raining? I mean, I know you've got working eyes and stuff, but you know, can you tell when it's raining? I don't know.
Well,
big problem, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, of all the things, can you tell when it's raining? I mean, it's such a physical thing. It touches you.
It does. Know. It's again, it invades personal space.
Yeah. The rain doesn't ask if it can touch you.
No, it doesn't. But people should. Don't be like the rain, okay?
Don't be like the rain.
Nice.
Next is from Steve.
That's a good track title. I might use it.
What?
Don't be like the rain.
Don't be like the rain. So Steve says that two come to mind. The first one, while waiting to get my hair cut at a barbershop aged 12, a man and his wife sat down across from me and he says to his wife, see him, he's a punishment for his parents' sinful nature. I wanted to stomp on his testicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can absolutely understand that one.
To say that in front of a child as well is just so cruel.
Again, mouth filter. Turn it off. Actually, no, turn it on.
Because some children would take that, you know, and internalize that and think that
that's really the case.
Yeah, which is just so sad.
Yeah, because an adult said it and
no parent, no decent, loving parent would ever feel that.
No. I remember worrying about our kids and thinking and hoping they wouldn't be blind. Although mine is not genetic. So
yeah, yours is not genetic.
But I was, I did tell you that I feared that and that you might be upset about it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's always a worry, but then in the same way that anything, you know, any disability or challenge to your child is going to be a worry.
Yeah.
The second one was a former co-worker told me he'd rather have his terminal diabetes than be blind like me.
Yikes.
That's awful. So awful.
Well, maybe you get what you asked for.
Hunter next said, I don't understand this one at all. You're blind, so you're obviously Muslim. This is back in 7th grade. I don't understand. Why do the two
go together?
Yeah. Next, I mean, it's awful, obviously. Next is Pratik, I think.
Pratik, maybe.
Pratik.
I don't know. Do you know what? Again, I really need to ask people's names.
I'm doing my best though.
To
try and get it right.
See, I hear things how the speech says it, and then I just internalize that. Speech
Yeah,
is
but
often
speech
wrong.
doesn't always get it right.
No, it doesn't.
That's the thing.
So in my head, people are just speech names.
This reminds me of an old site, blindkiss.com, that did the most ridiculous tropes based on what people think about blind people. I'd say this was back in the early noughts.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that?
I was reminded of it when he said it, but I had totally forgotten it existed. And I don't remember if I ever visited it.
Yeah.
Should have looked it up. It probably is on the Internet Archive. I'll have to look. Could be fun.
We have Epidemiologist.
Great name.
That, yeah, really cool. My college roommate, in brackets, born blind, had an aunt who never got over being amazed when she could feed herself. And then they've put, feed herself, she could read a goddamn orchestral score in Braille.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Which is weird. I mean,
What
why is it amazing that
you
someone
can
can
feed yourself?
themselves
Yeah.
and also read?
Mm-hmm. And that was our last one.
Wow. What a
Been
list.
A lot of crazy things.
So give your sighted people a pep talk. Come on. Tell them what they should and should not be doing here. Because I think after reading all that, you can only come away with stunned disbelief in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
What do we tell these people?
Have some common sense, some common decency. That's what we should say.
It's not hard. Well, clearly for some of it, for some of you it is.
But yeah, please share if you have any others that you would like us to share next week.
Yeah, do, definitely. The virtual mailbag was devoid of any comments this week, which meant that we had this instead.
But there were so many elsewhere, so
Oh, yeah.
that is good.
Fill us up. That'd be fine.
Stroonge news for you.
Absolutely.
So this one is creepy humanoid robot arrested by police after sneaking up on an old lady at night.
Oh, gosh.
So this weird encounter took place at night in a residential neighborhood in China and ended with an elderly woman being taken to hospital and the robot being carted off by police. So she was hospitalized after being frightened by this creepy robot that snuck up on her. The robot was seen being escorted by several police officers.
That's so weird.
Yeah. So there is footage that you can see in the link that we will share.
Yeah.
The lady reportedly shouted at the robot, "You're making my heart race. You've got plenty to do. So what's the point in messing around with this? Are you freaking crazy?" The poor woman, she was terrified. So the robot belongs to a local education centre and is believed to have been left to roam the streets as part of a promotional campaign. A representative from the centre reportedly told reporters that the robot had not intended to startle the lady, but had instead been waiting to walk past her.
Ooh.
The woman stopped in the middle of the walkway to check her phone, and because the robot couldn't get around, it simply waited behind her. That's when she noticed the robot with its lights on, startling her given the late hour. The frightened woman was sent to hospital following the scare, although reports suggested that she's not suffered any injuries and was later discharged.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
It is, because the robot costs $120,000 to purchase and has functioning hands and feet as well as a humanoid frame. So it can complete tasks like cooking, running, complex conversations. It's 4'2" and sports a high definition camera and speaker. That I just can't understand why they would leave it for so long out at night to just be wandering around. For like something that valuable, surely they should have come and collected it and taken it home. But
You would think so.
you can imagine that would be quite scary to turn around and there's a life-size robot just standing there looking
right?
at you.
Sneaking up on you like nothing happened.
Well, they say it wasn't sneaking up, it was just trying to get past her, but because she stopped, it stopped. So that's why. But yeah, you would perceive it to be sneaking up on you.
Yeah, and also if it has quiet motors or something, like
Yeah.
electric cars, that would feel sneaky. And you would not want that.
Yeah,
No.
absolutely.
I don't like this.
So there you go.
It feels a bit Black Mirror-esque.
Yeah, it does.
Because what could it have done to her? It could have tasered her or done something evil.
Well, if it has taser. I don't know if it has that capability. But yeah.
Well, not that one, but that doesn't mean someone
True.
couldn't
Yeah,
build
no,
it.
that's it. You just don't know. You don't know what's going around now.
No.
What's wandering the streets. Tasering robots.
Sneaky robots.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. We made it through this massive episode, and I thought we had to do a really good one for number 80. It's another milestone. Every 10 episodes feels like a good thing, you know.
Yeah.
So now we're 20 away from 100. Wow. 20 more weeks.
Crazy.
I know. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. Well, I say enjoyed. I hope you thought about this. And we'd love to hear your feedback and comments and all that sort of thing. Do like and subscribe and share it. But yeah, thanks a lot for everybody who participated. Really, really grateful to you for commenting. And to those of you who may do so between now and next time. But until then.
Bye. I think we absolutely.
Do you ever do things in different times with each other? Like break that?